I want to return to the theme of your book and the necessity for pluralism. But what comes to my mind, historically speaking, is Al-Andalus. Back in Spain, when Arabs ruled the land, they ruled in a tolerant way. They ruled over Christians and Jews. So the question is, to what extent do you think people can think in these terms? Do you think that is an important historical reference?
I do think it is an important historical reference, not just the Andalus days, even days before Al-Andalus and days after it. The Ottomans also,
exactly,
had a more or less inclusive way of governing their territories. We've had golden ages of the, Arab Empire where everybody was tolerated. I don't see anything in Arab culture that stands against pluralism. This is something that the modern Arab world has not paid much attention to, and it is something that that can be reversed. It will take decades of work, of changing the educational system, of putting in place the political institutions necessary, but it is not something that cannot be reversed.
Do you see signs anywhere, whether in Tunisia or elsewhere, where this is starting to take root?
Certainly. In Tunisia offers so far the best example. They have, almost now agreed on a constitution, a consensus document that is far advanced, give women full rights, give minorities full rights, it treats everybody as citizens regardless of their political or religious orientations. They are in a coalition government where both the secular and the religious elements are together in the country. They are not without problems or tension, but no transformational process is going to take place smoothly or linearly. I am actually optimistic that the example Tunisia is showing will have positive ramifications throughout the region.
And then again, back to these historical antecedents, whether it's the Golden Age of Spain, Al-Andalus, Andalusia, or the Ottoman Empire. What I find interesting and rather disturbing is that some of the more jihadist groups are appropriating these historical periods and saying we need to go back to the caliphate, but they distort the real message of those days, which was more pluralistic, tolerance for minorities. How disturbing is this, and how can we reverse that interpretation?
Arabs are no different than any society on earth. They don't want jihadists. They don't want violence. They don't want people who, are intolerant, who chop off heads, who are intolerant of other faiths. This is a transient phenomenon, in my view. Of course, jihadists are going to make use of the vacuum that is there whenever, turmoil takes place. We've seen it in Iraq, but let us remember that in the end, it was the Iraqi themselves who rose, the Sunni Iraqis, who rose against the jihadists in their areas, in what was called the Sahwa then, and who, successfully fought to take them out. We're seeing the same thing in Syria. The jihadists have been so intolerant, so terrible in their administration of the areas that they are left with no friends. And today, the other, both Islamist and secular elements in the opposition are not just fighting Bashar al-Assad now, they're also fighting these jihadists with the help and support of the local population. Yes, these people will resort to violence, Al-Qaeda types, but in the end, they cannot address people's problems. They cannot create jobs. They cannot, do all the issues that a regular Arab, just like any other regular person on earth, needs. And that is why I am very optimistic that these are, in the end, a transient phenomenon.